Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In the last class, we saw some of the competencies of entrepreneurs. We saw how initiative is important, how creativity and innovation are important competencies for an entrepreneur, and how risk taking is a very important quality of an entrepreneur. In this episode, in this today's class, we will see some more. Problem solving is a very important quality or a competency of an entrepreneur. See, problems will be there. Tell me one place where there is no problem at all. As long as we live in a society, there will be problem. So, the one which distinguishes an entrepreneur from an employee is in one way an employee is will avoid a problem, even a risk is a problem. So, when you invest all your money in a project, the chances of losing is there. So, that is a problem. So, an entrepreneur looks at the problem as an opportunity. This is the difference. Do you see a problem as a problem, or do you see a problem as an opportunity? So, you should understand that there is more than one way of solving a problem. Is there a better alternative? I want you to make a note of two words, two phrases, or three, you can take it. The first word is thinking, Thinking, thinking. So, we think, but the thinking can be two ways of thinking. One is called vertical thinking, the other one is called lateral thinking. Vertical thinking is a sequential thinking, is a logical thinking. So, once you start thinking vertically, there is a limit. For example, a dog, in order to be a watchdog, should bark, should be ferocious. If a dog is timid, if a dog is afraid of strangers, if a dog cannot bark, it cannot be a watchdog, obviously. So, a vertical thinking man will look at a silent, timid dog not useful as a watchdog. But vertical thinking is about thinking out of the box, different way of thinking. If this is the problem, if this is the normal solution people have, why should I not have a different solution? This is the lateral thinking. They call it as out of the box thinking. Let me take the same example. A dog, in order to be a watchdog, should be ferocious, should bark, people should be afraid of the dog. Now, supposing I have a dog which is silent, which is afraid of strangers. It will be in the front yard. The moment a stranger comes, it will take to its heels, it will run and go into its resting place. If this is the dog I have, can I use it as a watchdog? A vertical thinking man will say, no, we cannot use it. But a lateral thinking, supposing I watch this dog. What is the dog doing? The moment somebody touches the gate, it will run and go into its resting place. Always it happens. So, I think how can I use this to make it a watchdog? So, I put a board outside my gate. Beware of my dog will not bark. Beware of my dog will not bark. So, my dog will not bark means what? What the strangers will understand. At least a barking dog will give you a signal, oh, this man's dog is a silent dog, so let me not take a chance. That is one way to make the same dog as a watchdog. Another way, I start looking at the dog always runs to its heels. Every time a stranger comes, this is exactly the behavior. Now, supposing I put a sensor at the place where the dog is resting, every time the dog goes inside and I connect the sensor to the hooter alarm and the dog is there in the front yard, a stranger comes, immediately it runs to the resting yard, then there is a sensor and the sensor activates the hooter and immediately the hooter says wee 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 wee, a signal. So, same dog has solved the problem. So, whenever there is a problem, what can I do? There is a reference in the textbook about Ratan Tata shifting the nano plant from Siliguri to some other place due to some problem. That is one way. Now, let us say that cost reduction should take place. In order to sell the product should be cheap and quality. Should be cheap, which means cost effective, and qualitative. Normally what we do, in order to reduce the price of a product, a vertical thinking man will say reduce the quality, but these days the quality should be up, the cost should be down. So, what can be done? An entrepreneur who is a problem solver will introduce what is called quality circles, suggestion schemes. He will encourage all his employees to think about cost reduction, and all his employees will become cost accountants. You know what a cost accountant is? A cost accountant will look at the costing of a product and try to find out how to reduce the cost of manufacturing, including shifting the factory, or can I use a different raw material, or can I outsource it. Supposing the cost of manufacturing in my plant is very high, you should think, why not I outsource it, or why not I import it from a place where it is mass produced. So, these are all the examples of how the problem can be solved. I will give one classic example of problem solving, how an entrepreneur can solve the problem out of the way, out of the box. It is about Konosuke Matsushita. You know, Konosuke Matsushita is the founder, and they were making Panasonic equipments, electronic equipments. The story goes that the Panasonic, they were selling the tape recorders to a leading car manufacturer, and one day the leading car manufacturer wanted a 15% reduction in price of the car radio, and the managers worked at various methods, and they came to the conclusion, if they offer a 15% reduction in the price, they will lose. because already the margin is very, very thin margin. So, they went to the boss Matsushita. The old man thought about it and he told the managers, okay, I know what you would have done. You would have worked at the peripheral, small little cost reduction here and there. No, they said, no, sir, we tried our best. If I reduce the cost any further, less than 10%, then we will lose profit. So, might as well not have the order. Then Matsushita said, okay, I will give you 3 months time. You come out with a new tape recorder or a radio player. The customer wanted a 15% cheaper product, you give me a 25% cheaper product, but I will give you permission, you do anything. If you want, you put up a new plant, new factory you open, new raw material you use. If you want to change the suppliers, you change, you do anything and everything you want, but at the end of 90 days you come and give me a product which is not 15% cheaper, but which is 25% cheaper. With this freedom, the managers went back, started working and came to Matsushita, sir, this is our project. You wanted a 25% cheaper product, we will give you a 30% cheaper product, but you should allow us with all these facilities. Not only a new plant, but we will recruit new people, we will use new technology, import new machineries, everything new, completely new plant. We will give you a 30% cheaper product. And Matsushita agreed to this, accepted this. A new plant was put. They went to the car manufacturer and told, you wanted a 15% cheaper product, we will give you a 20% cheaper product. Obviously, the car manufacturer was very, very happy and he increased the market share. He increased the volume of business to 1.5 times. This is how the problem solving is very, very important. You have to think out of the box, because you will come across various types of problem, cost problem, power problem, labor problem, finance problem, political problems, nature problem. Now look at what is happening, COVID-19, nature problem. Okay, so this is problem solving. The next one is leadership. I have discussed with you a couple of episodes earlier. An entrepreneur should be an effective leader who should be able to guide and motivate the entire team. Whenever the company faces a problem, he will take charge and he will use his communication skills and whatever he has got and bring the company out of the problem. That is why I am telling you, try to become a leader. You can Google search and there are a lot of videos available, TED Talks available, and what is leadership quality. In our school, we give a lot of importance to personality development. I have discussed with you several times. A leader is different from a manager. A manager needs authority, power, but a leader need not be given power. He will take the power. He derives the power out of the love and affection of people. A leader will know his people so well and they will do anything for him, not because it is a pleasure, even if it is a pain, they will do it for the leader. That is why I said in one of my episodes, we talk about national leaders, we talk about religious leaders, we talk about linguistic leaders, world leaders. We do not talk about national manager, linguistic manager. Leadership is very, very important, especially at the time of crisis. Today you see what is happening in the world. The whole world is going through a pandemic situation. At this point of time, it is very difficult to lead the country, whether it is our country or whether it is our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, or whether it is Donald Trump in United States, or whosoever, whichever country. Today is the toughest period in the history, in the known history of our times, especially when the company is going through a very difficult situation. A leader is required. When a pilot is taking the plane, when everything is normal, what is the big achievement in taking the passengers to the destination? When it is a turbulent weather, are you able to take the flight? That is the leadership qualities. What are the leadership qualities? Correct decision making, motivating people, encouraging people, bringing a sense of humor, making people to think differently. All these things are qualities of leadership. Thinking beyond 5 years, thinking out of the box. You can do some extra research to find out what are the qualities of a leader. That is why Mahatma Gandhi is a national leader. He was not called a national manager. Okay. The next quality is very, very important. Persistence. The entrepreneurial pursuits are new and need very close attention. Creating a need in the market for the enterprise is one of the main requirements of the entrepreneurs. This calls for intense perseverance. Okay. Let us say that you come out with a product, the product does not sell. I already gave the example of Honda. He looked at the cycle, he looked at a motor, he made a motorcycle, put the motor in the cycle. As I said, he sent out 35,000 letters, and out of 35,000 people to whom he addressed, about 100 of them maybe came and gave the order, but 85 to 90 failed, only 10 succeeded. But he never gave up. I gave in one of my episodes to you, I talked about how Colonel Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken, how he struggled. He was running a restaurant. Actually, he came back from his army service and he started a small little restaurant. All that he had was only his recipe, a chicken recipe made with about 20 and odd herbs. People liked his chicken, but the shop was closed because the government acquired his plant for expansion of road, and they gave a very, very meager $50 or so social security. All that he had was his recipe. He said no problem. He took his car, 250,000 miles he travelled in his car. He took his recipe from restaurant to restaurant. He met 1,000 restaurant owners, out of which 999 refused to buy it. He only said, use my recipe, use it to cook. For every chicken that you make out of my recipe, you give me $1. 999 people refused, rejected his offer. One person got it. When he got the first order, he thought, if I can get one order, I can get many orders. And now you look at KFC. And that too, he started his KFC when he was 62 years old. Not that he started when he was in 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. And ultimately, he sold his Kentucky Fried Chicken company for a whopping profit. I have in the book you also have the Hathi chap, how the cow dung of an elephant can be, dung of an elephant can be used for making organic paper. Behind every entrepreneur you will find this common denominator of perseverance. We will see one more. Quality performance is another competency of an entrepreneur. Since entrepreneurs value outstanding performance, one of the behavioral skills necessary for is the sensitivity and concern for product quality. Comparing the quality of the product with certain standards, he will have his own standard, he would have evolved his own standard, and he will also have a benchmark. Write down this word, benchmark. That means he will mark his product with reference to some other already existing. That is the quality. Today customers want a quality, they are willing to pay a price. As I mentioned to you, Steve Jobs transformed the entire smartphone industry. There was a time when Japan was destroyed during the 1960s, 1950s, for example, after the Second World War, Japan was destroyed. For 20 long years they fought among themselves. There were a lot of problems between owners of business and laborers, and one day they realized the problem is not in us, the problem is the product quality. No, there was a time when a Japanese product was called cheap and worst, not cheap and best, cheap and worst. And they thought Japanese will cheat you. There was a popular saying in Tamil, Kallanai nambinalum kullanai nambade. Kullan means short. That means Japanese means cheats. So they realized it, oh, this is not the way to run a nation. So they went out to see various places. America they came and saw, they saw quality cars on the road, and then they brought the quality revolution. For 15 years they worked, the employer and the employees, they forgot their differences and started manufacturing quality goods, because at that time made in Germany was very good, made in Europe, made in England, products were very good. After working for 15 long years, then the Japanese came with the product quality. Now today look at what is Japan. So ultimately an entrepreneur should look at the product quality, not only product quality, service quality, after sales service quality, and he should know what quality of product and services offered by his competitors. He should be better than them. So in today's class we saw 3 qualities: problem solving, leadership, persistence, and quality performance. In the next class we will see some more quality. All the best. See you in the next class.